I remember that night as if it were pressed into my skin, seared deeper than any secret I ever carried. The way his hands hovered, the way his lips lingered near mine without fully claiming them, it wasn't love, it wasn't safety. It was fire. Raw, consuming, reckless fire. And maybe that's why I let myself fall. "Don't move," he whispered, his breath warm against my ear, carrying that teasing command that made my knees tremble. His cologne mixed with the sweat of a long day's work, heavy, masculine, almost intoxicating. He wasn't gentle. He wasn't soft. He was explosive. And I knew, in that moment, that if I let him closer, I'd never be able to hide again. But before I take you deeper into what he did to me, let me pause for just a second. If you're listening to this, if you're curious about secrets that should never be confessed, then don't forget, hit that subscribe button, like this video, and share it. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't a fairy tale. It's raw, it's messy, and it's mine. Now, let's go back to how it started, how an ordinary woman like me, hidden behind her marriage and responsibilities, became his extinguisher after his fire. It began in a cramped office on the outskirts of Houston, Texas. The air conditioning never worked right, the walls carried that faint smell of burnt coffee and paper, and yet, it was the place where temptation slipped in unnoticed. I worked the late shifts, covering invoices, answering calls, trying to keep my head down. He worked in logistics, a broad-shouldered man who never seemed to run out of energy. Even after 12 hours, his voice carried that rich, commanding tone that made you want to listen, even when you hated what he was saying. He was married. I was married. 2 rings that should have been shields, but instead, they became the very reason we searched for escape. The first time he leaned over my desk, his hand brushing mine as he passed me a file, I felt the air catch in my chest. His eyes lingered just long enough to make me wonder, was it an accident? Or was it the beginning of something that would ruin us both? "Long night?" he asked, and I nodded, too quickly, like a girl being caught stealing glances. "You have no idea," I whispered, almost without meaning to. He smirked, that dangerous half-smile that made me ache inside. "I might." And just like that, it started, subtle glances, casual touches, lingering words. He was explosive in his work, always moving, always chasing, and somehow, I became the thing he slowed down for. But it wasn't love. No. It was need. A need that would turn me into his extinguisher, his way of calming after his fire burned too hard. And me? I was already burning from the inside. I thought the night before had been a mistake. A fiery rush of adrenaline, a dangerous crossing of boundaries, a secret flame that should have been extinguished as quickly as it was lit. But when morning came, the heat lingered. His scent was still on my skin, his grip still alive in my memory, and every aching part of me reminded me of what had happened. At work, my hands trembled when I tried to focus. The office buzzed with ordinary chatter, phones ringing, printers humming, but inside me, chaos reigned. I saw him across the room, looking calm, almost smug, as if nothing out of the ordinary had happened. Yet every glance we shared was a silent echo of the fire we had set. "Hey," he whispered later that afternoon, catching me by the copy machine, his voice low, his eyes burning. "Last night, it's not over. You know that, right?" My throat tightened. I wanted to tell him no, that it was wrong, that I had a life outside these walls, a husband who trusted me, a family waiting at home. But the truth was, I didn't say any of that. Instead, I nodded. A small, guilty, trembling nod that gave him permission to keep going. "Belle, if you're still here with me, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Trust me, you won't want to miss how far this fire goes." That evening, when the office emptied and the city's lights painted the windows, he came to me again. Not with words, but with urgency. His hands didn't ask, they claimed. His lips didn't hesitate, they devoured. And despite the worrisome guilt clawing at my chest, my body betrayed me, surrendering like dry wood to a relentless flame. I became his extinguisher, yet every time he poured himself into me, it only fueled the blaze higher. The contradiction tore at me. How could I feel both consumed and complete at once? How could I ache with exhaustion but crave more of his reckless touch? By the time I stumbled out of the building, my body was weak, but my heart was beating with dangerous life. I drove home with trembling hands, the city lights blurring through my windshield, knowing that something inside me had shifted. I wasn't the same woman who had walked into work yesterday. I was now living between two worlds, one safe, predictable, loyal, and the other, explosive, destructive, worrisome, but intoxicating. And deep down, I already knew which one was winning. Her breath was still tangled with mine, her body still trembling against me, as if the world had stopped to witness what we did in secret. I could feel the weight of her wedding ring pressing against my chest, a sharp reminder of the sin I chose willingly, the sin I craved. She whispered, "You were my escape," but the truth was burning inside me. She was more than that. She became my sin, my obsession, the taste I couldn't resist, even knowing it would burn me alive. And maybe that's why I never stopped. Because sometimes the sweetest pleasures are carved from the most forbidden wounds. She ran to me for comfort, but I stayed with her for the chaos, for the fire, for the kind of lust that ruins men and women alike. And now, as I look back on everything, I know one thing, I don't regret it. Because in her arms, even if just for stolen nights, I felt alive in ways that no law, no vow, no promise could ever bind. Fire if you felt the rush in my confession, don't forget. Like this video, subscribe for more true infidelity tales, and share it with someone who dares to taste the forbidden. Because my story might just be theirs too. The night was heavy with exhaustion. His day had been long, mine had been longer. Yet, when he showed up at my door, his eyes blazing with the hunger I already knew too well, I forgot the weariness threading through my body. "I'm drained," he whispered, leaning against the doorframe, his shirt clinging to him with sweat, his tie hanging loose like a flag of surrender. And yet, drained or not, he carried an energy that pulled me into his orbit. I should have sent him home. Told him to rest. Told myself to rest. But instead, I let him in. And the moment the door closed, he pressed me against it, his lips rough and meaty, his body trembling with the aftershocks of the workday he'd just survived. "Don't forget to hit that subscribe button," I whispered breathlessly to you, my unseen listener, because this is the part you'll want to hear. He devoured me like fire devours paper, and I became the extinguisher he needed. His exhaustion spilled out of him in waves, and I absorbed it, tamed it, until his tension melted into me. Each touch carried desperation, each kiss an ache for release. I should have worried more. Because being his extinguisher meant burning myself down. My body ached, my heart worried, yet my soul couldn't deny how alive I felt in those moments when his weariness found refuge inside me. Somewhere in the middle of that storm, I reminded myself, reminded you, like, share, and subscribe. Because secrets like these don't live forever. But while they last, they burn brighter than anything else. And when it was over, when his head dropped heavy against my chest, whispering that he didn't know what he'd do without me, I felt both powerful and powerless at once. Powerful, because I could soothe him. Powerless, because I knew I was losing myself in the process. That night, lying there with his breath heavy against my skin, worry crept into me like an uninvited guest. Was I becoming his savior? Or just a temporary extinguisher to his endless fire? And yet, I didn't stop him. I remember lying there that night, his breath heavy against my neck, my skin sticky from both our chaos. I thought the fire had finally consumed us, that maybe the blaze we built together had left nothing but ashes. But instead, I felt him again, slowly, carefully, yet with the same vigor that had wrecked me hours earlier. "Are you not exhausted?" I whispered, half pleading, half daring him. He only smirked, his lips dragging along my collarbone as though my body itself was the canvas he'd been assigned to paint. "Fire doesn't stop burning just because the world wants it to sleep," he murmured, his voice hoarse, dangerous, addictive. And right there, I realized, he wasn't just a man in my bed. He was the extinguisher of my worries, but also the matchstick that kept setting me ablaze. Fire, mid-scene reminder. If you're still here with me, don't forget, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves true, raw stories of forbidden passion. Your support keeps my anonymous confessions alive. The way he held me was different now. Not just hunger, not just lust. There was something protective in the roughness, something reassuring in the recklessness. He devoured me as though my exhaustion was his fuel, as though each moan I spilled only poured gasoline on his fire. But in between those flames, I felt a strange calm, like maybe, for once, someone was burning with me, not against me. And yes, I should feel guilty. My husband was miles away, trusting me, never knowing that another man's lips had rewritten my body's language. But I didn't feel guilt that night. I felt alive. When morning broke, I looked at him differently. Sweat still lingered on his skin, his chest rising with a steady rhythm that contrasted the storm we'd been. My body ached everywhere, and yet, my soul craved more. That's when I knew, this wasn't just a fling. This was a dangerous addiction, one that could end me or redefine me. I traced my fingers across his shoulder and whispered silently, "Don't let this end here." I still feel the scorch of that night. His body was fire, mine was gasoline, and together we burned until I thought the whole world would explode. But just when I thought I couldn't take any more, he doused me, calmed me, turned me into his extinguisher, leaving my worries tangled with my cravings. Even now, my lips ache for his taste, my skin remembers every touch, and my soul shivers at the memory of how forbidden yet delicious it all was. I was a wife, I was supposed to be loyal, but in his arms, loyalty melted into lust, and lies became my secret freedom. If you've ever felt that dangerous pull of desire, the kind that makes your heart race, your knees weak, your morals blurry, then you understand why I share this. I'm not proud, but I'm not sorry either. Kiss mark if this story pulled you into my hidden world. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who loves true infidelity tales filled with romance, lust, and fire. Your support keeps these confessions alive, and trust me, there's so much more to come. Because sometimes, what destroys us is exactly what keeps us alive.